Is the G36 the best AR after the PTS? Now, full disclaimer, this is a kind of video response to Soak Disco's video where he kind of went over his preferred method of play with his preferred weapon. That's the way I'm going to look at it, simply just because a lot of it was very much based on opinion, though there is one very, very huge area where I do feel he was, one, absolutely correct, two, actually said it rather matter-of-factly, which I do believe is the correct way to do it. And that is due to the changes that we have seen come through PTS 2 for Season 3 Project Resolve. The Eagle Bearer meta that a lot of people were hoping for died immediately. It's not happening. However, I wish to expand this by quite simply saying that St. Elmo's fanboys and girls, your weapon just died as well though. Now, I'm going to be showing this quite simply just because of one of the changes or additions realistically that came in, and that is the talent behind you. This is an FAL with behind you active versus St. Elmo. A weapon with a 40 round mag can outperform a weapon with a 70 round mag. Yeah, how'd you like me now? Now, just to make sure that it is being said, I'm going to be looking at this as though what was in the PTS is in the live game. No changes, no nothing. We don't actually know if there are going to be changes, nerfs. We just don't know. So we're going to be looking at this as though what we saw in PTS 2 is the live game, which annoyingly means that what a lot of people are hoping for isn't actually going to be the case. For example, already, as we can hopefully or have seen, ARs are no longer going to be the top go-to weapon. We're going to be looking at LMGs again. That being said, we are just going to be looking at the top tier ARs for this. Now, as we've just shown, St. Elmo's isn't really in the running anymore. However, I've also previously shown in another video that the FAL and G36 don't quite live up to expectations either. But we're going to go back over this, but we're going to skip over the FAL just because I feel like a lot of people aren't really going to be interested in this simply just because of the 40 round mag. Sure, it can come across pretty powerful, but overall, that 40 round mag, I feel like it's going to be more of a hindrance rather than help. So we're going to be comparing the F2000, FAMAS, G36, as well as then the Eagle Bearer. Now, I used this build, which is a high-end build. It's been a while for me, so bear with me. I used this build for all of the testing for all four weapons. This gave the F2000 a 156% critical hit damage, the FAMAS and G36 161, but it gave the Eagle Bearer 171. They are all at 60% crit chance. So the only thing that actually changes is their base value stat, as well as the crit damage, where F2000 and EB are different, lower and then higher respectively, and FAMAS and G36 are the same. This is basically how you would typically mod them out and about if you were playing these weapons. You can hopefully see that here. F2000, FAMAS, G36 and EB. The changes to the weapons have been implemented, if there are any, throughout as though it was PTS 2, and obviously the only other difference is going to be critical hit damage. We have applied damage to targets out of cover to the Eagle Bearer, not the headshot damage. This is what their DPS looks like, both burst and sustain, and I could already hear you asking, oh, but Dod, you said that Eagle Bearer doesn't beat them in burst and sustain. Well, you're correct, and this is probably a little bit misleading. However, I've not put a talent in. See, Eagle Bearer doesn't have a damage talent. It actually has a pretty weird talent, and I'm not going to go into that because I have pretty strong opinions on it, and I know not everyone wants to hear that. However, there's no talent active in these. If we put the talent in, and the talent I'm referring to being behind you, we get a very, very different story. Now, hopefully you can see that in both burst and sustain, basically every weapon outperforms Eagle Bearer. It's, on average, it's a 22% difference. 22%. This is huge. This is massive. This is actually ridiculous how much more damaging high-end weapons are in comparison to things like what we thought was going to be the new meta, Eagle Bearer, and obviously the golden standard at the moment, St. Elmo's. Now, obviously, I'm hoping for some of the more astute among you, you would have figured out that we are factoring in behind you to basically be up 100% of the time. However, due to the fact in which the way in which DPS works or is calculated, this basically has no bearing. Even if we wanted to factor in sustained DPS with behind you being up 50% of the time, yeah, behind you basically still wins. And this is me literally just turning the multiplier from 0.4 to 0.2 just to half it, essentially. I'm not too sure yet if that's going to be the correct way to calculate it, but for now, until further testing, getting my hands on the talent again, this is the best I can do, just turning it from 0.4 to 0.5, effectively halving it, trying to replicate 50% of the damage that you would be doing, being the full amp versus no amp. In fact, even if you put it down to a quarter of the time, putting it to 0.1, again, assuming this is going to be the most accurate way to determine this, hopefully here you can see that the FAMAS and G36 in terms of sustained DPS have fallen behind. EB does 7.1 mil, G36 6.8, FAMAS 6.5, but the sustained DPS of F2000 is still at 7.1, 7.18 to be exact, where the Eagle Bearer is 7.10. And again though, in burst DPS, the other three, FAMAS, F2000 and G36, are still outperforming Eagle Bearer. So the notion that Eagle Bearer can actually be competitive in this area is completely false. It can't be. So hopefully here we have seen from like the math, the top ARs are going to be F2000, FAMAS, G36, and then technically the FAL then does slot in. However, the FAL does end up falling short because 40 round mag. What can you do? However, like I did show very early in the video, the FAL can beat things such as Elmo and EB, but it then falls short due to other issues. From here, we then have to go into essentially how a weapon feels with you. And there's no way for me to actively tell you what weapon you are going to prefer, because it's going to be down to your personal preferences. Such as, I prefer weapons that have a vertical recoil pattern. As in they go up and down when you're firing. FAMAS and F2000 are very, very good examples of this. The moment you start firing, there is an immediate high kick up. With a little bit of control, you can bring it back down. When you aim center body, on occasion, just lapse your control and you glide onto the head and it stays pretty on point in terms of stability. The only thing there that's going to be a factor then is going to be the overall weapon accuracy, which outside of using talents or handling rolls, you have no control over this. So I prefer a weapon that is easier for me to control in stability than it is accuracy, because I can control stability through mouse control. Not sure how to translate to controller, I do apologise, but I can control stability through mouse control. I can't control accuracy through mouse control. This is either going to be through burst firing. The longer you're firing, the more wild and sporadic the accuracy, that's through a reticule, dances around the place. The actual reticle moving on screen is stability. That little dot, which tells you where your bullet is going to go, dancing around like a nutter, that's your accuracy, which you cannot control. So like I said, this is all going to come down to personal preference. Something like as I said, something like the FAMAS or the F2000, they have a vertical recoil pattern. It goes up when you fire. The G36 and the FAL weirdly pull to the right, which really throws me off, simply because of where I spent so much time in this game with weapons that have a vertical recoil pattern. I'm preparing myself to pull down on the mouse to control the recoil, and all that happens is I start shooting effectively their right foot, because I've pulled down. This is also one of the reasons why I've never really been a big fan of St. Elmo's, simply just because I anticipate the recoil that isn't actually there, and then after I've readjusted and got used to it, I go back to using something like the FAMAS or the F2000, and suddenly I'm shooting pigeons because I'm not applying the mouse control that I should have been, because Elmo However, saying all this, even going back to when people thought EB was going to be the new meta, I know personally a lot of people who actively didn't care because EB handles like ass, and I second this statement. Through just trying to hit targets at 20 meters on the range, I had vastly more success in order. F2000 was the highest, then weirdly the G36, wasn't actually expecting this. Then the FAMAS, and the EB was just, I can tell you now I needed those extra 10 rounds in the mag because shit wasn't dying, because the vast majority of my shots when I went for headshots were missing. I even missed a few body shots where at 20 meters on a static target, the other ARs simply just didn't miss on body shots. However, with the EB, it did. I did also miss a few shots with the FAL, but I also very, very seldom use the FAL. I have recently done quite a bit of testing with the G36 due to the Born Great, I believe it's called, with the perfect stabilized talent. So I'm a little bit more at this point in terms of throughout my playing career, a little bit more accurate and knowledgeable with the G36 over the FAL. As to which one of the FAMAS, F2000 and GT36 that you prefer personally is going to be entirely up to you, how you play and as well as what you're used to. There's a bit of muscle memory that kind of goes on. So even though there are some people that swear by the AK and they don't find its accurate stability that bad, we do generally view these people as enigmas, but that's just what they prefer. I prefer the F2000 but then I spent the very, very vast majority of my early gameplay with Shield Splinterer. I am very accustomed to this weapon. It's something I've never really actually lost. That being said, the one thing that I feel like the majority of people will be on board with and understand is that Eagle Bearer handles like garbage, which is another reason why it's not exactly going to be in the meta running. Even if it did the most damage, I still feel like most players wouldn't use it. One, that horrible talent. Two, the inability to actually hit anything smaller than a friggin' building. Up next, we have the optimal range argument, which for me is a weird one, and I don't know whether this is just army brain or me being pedantic as crap. However, I view this as mostly as a null argument. FAMAS has an optimal range of 28, F2000 27, G36 32, and the Eagle Bearer is 35. However, if worrying about optimal range is your thing, put an ACOG sight on Police M4. Optimal range of 42 meters. Now put Ranger on. You're welcome. So, with the information that we have right now, regardless of how you play, from a statistical standpoint, the F2000 and the FAMAS are going to be the top two ARs, including Eagle Bearer as well as St. Elmo's. Thank you, behind you. Assuming, of course, that is how it stays, but that's how we're viewing this entire video again. So, does this mean the G36 is going to be bad? No, not at all. G36 is going to be absolutely up there, and if you do wish to go for a weapon that feels slightly different or better for you, G36 is absolutely going to be a huge, huge, solid option. It's kind of a weird argument because even now in the game, there's a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, I understand the FAMAS is the meta AR or whatever, bloody, bloody, blah. I just prefer the feel of XYZ weapon. The understanding that the FAMAS is the best AR is there, they just don't like the feel of it. That's fine. So going down the whole how the weapon feels route for something to be meta has never been a thing before, so I don't quite get why we're doing it now. Again, as well with optimal range. Optimal range has never been a factor into what actually makes the weapon good. If we were going to go that route, then the most meta weapon in the game is Regulus. Has an optimal range of like 15 meters. No one cares. Wanna know why? Because we play it within 15 meters, which is for me the reason this argument is null and void. If you know you have a weapon that what does its most damage at around 15 to 20 meters, you'll most likely, sometimes just subconsciously, stick around 15 to 20 meters because that's what your weapon does. You're not going to use a tire jack to tighten a screw, you're going to use a screwdriver. Why? Because that's what a screwdriver is for. To me, like I said, this is a null argument. So, again, I wish to reiterate that the notion that the G36 being good isn't wrong. It being the best, or subjectively or objectively, how you want to look at it, is, well, subjectively is entirely up to you. From an objective standpoint, no. That being said, the one part that I do agree with is, EB is nowhere near going to be worth it simply because of the addition of Behind You. That being said, it may get changed. However, even if we factor it in as all weapon damage, depending on the uptime use of the talent, EB and including Elmo are still potentially not going to be worth it that much anymore. Elmo potentially more so. However, this is more going to be down to how the weapon feels rather than how the weapon actually performs on a damage side of things. If it's still going to be relying on the damage side of things, then even like a 50% uptime on an all weapon damage Behind You, something like the F2000 is still going to win. Have fun, good luck, don't die. It's bad for the health.